Keys to the city, baby. When you see us, so you know you really viewing greatness in the making. Double up on facts we stating. Podcasting, cruise control, city, state, the nation. So what you saying, what we saying, prime information. Facts, keys to the city, we're unlocking the statements.
Streaming every Friday.
And we are back, another edition of Keys to the City with the Trevor Keys, alongside the big brother T3, Ted Keys. Ted, yesterday was a huge, I won't say historical. I was thinking of the historical day, but no, it's not really a historical day. But yesterday was a fascinating day, a wonderful, glorious day for sports fans in general because of the situation that was given to us. Think about it. 2 Game 7s in the NBA, 2 Game 7s in hockey. I mean, anytime any sports fans hear the word Game 7, they get the chills because Game 7, this is it. 60 minutes, 40 minutes, do or die. Life is, season's on the line. And guess what? Well, the NHL playoffs delivered. 2 classics last night, 2 OT thrillers. The New York Rangers are going to face the Carolina Hurricanes. And the Calgary Flames went in overtime as well over the Dallas Stars. But there was also some 2 Game 7s last night or yesterday that we were all anticipating, all eagerly waiting for. Well, what the hell happened? As the great Vince Lombardi once said, what the hell's going on around here? And I know this question says what happened to the Bucks and Suns, but I think the real question is, Ted, what happened to the Phoenix Suns? Because coming into this year or this playoffs, they were the heavy odds-on favorite to win the title. Yeah, they won 7 games, but look how they lost. Just look at the embarrassment. I mean, think about this.
That was the worst Game 7 loss in NBA and any sports history.
This was the 4th highest blowout of all time, tied 4th, 33 points. Actually, by the way, that's a stat. I looked that up.
Yeah, but the home team, who's the number 1 seed, to lose
that
has to be 27 points at halftime.
You think about this team coming into it and just seeing, and we're going to talk about this briefly, but then we're going to get into the conference finals because those are what we're going to talk about. Those are the teams that are much deserving of this discussion. Just a quick observation. The big 3 of the Suns, good God almighty. Did you go out partying the night before or something? You went 9 of 27 from the floor. This is including Chris Paul, DeAndre Ayton, and Devin Booker. Their most efficient score from the field last night was the name Ish Wainwright. He went 4 or 5 from the field, Ted. This is a 64-win team, and we're talking about them as one of maybe the bigger disappointments in recent memory in the NBA playoffs. And then the Mavs' big 3, Luka, Brunson, and Spencer Dinwiddie combined for 89 points of the 123. So my quick observation is, you look at what the Bucks did. They gave it all they got. They had one of their big-time players out, Chris Middleton. That probably plays a huge factor into that series. Don't know what the results are. Could be different. Could be the same. This is more about the Suns. Giannis gave it everything. He got the first player in NBA history also to go 200, 150, 200 points, 100 rebounds, and 50 assists. And also he joined a nice little group, Wilt Chamberlain and Bill Russell, as the only players to lose consecutive playoff games with a 2020 game. So I'm not going after the Suns. I'm not going after the Bucks, but this is all about the Suns, Ted. It's no excuse. There's no reason that you should be losing. And credit to the Dallas Mavericks, credit to Jason Kidd, credit to Luka Doncic, because they went in there and they punched the Phoenix Suns in the mouth. The Suns never had an answer, and literally, they didn't have an answer. The moment it happened, Luka went off 27 points against 27 points of the Suns. The game was over. You could have turned it off at halftime if you wanted to watch something else, one of your TV shows, or you wanted to watch the other Game 7s in hockey. If you are a hockey fan, you could have tuned the channel. But still, Ted, unbelievable. That's my observation of this. Embarrassing. The Suns should be embarrassed. Chris Paul, my God, you just can't win, bro. You're like James Harden. You can't win in the playoffs. It's the 5th time. Well, 5th time, Ted. He has blown a 2-0 lead. 2008 Hornets. 3 franchises, 2 times with the Clippers and then 2 times with the Suns, Ted. I'm done with talking about the Phoenix Suns because that's how embarrassing it was to see that team on your home court and you lose by 33 points. You never had a chance. You never even had a breath to get a chance of this game. And to see what Luka and the Mavericks did, job well done. They deserved it. And I was just a little disappointed by how the Bucks game finished because that was a classic series back and forth. You didn't know what to expect. But seeing that, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown and company, we'll see what happens with the Bucks moving forward. It just shows also, and I don't really like to say this a lot, but it just shows how impressive LeBron James' streak going to the finals was. Ted.
No, I mean, very underwhelming games yesterday. Both game sevens blowouts. Both were, the Celtics by the end of the third quarter was like, all right, this game's over. I'll start with the Suns Mavs game. Home team had won the first 6 games, right? We had a kind of like blowouts. Like if Dallas had blown out the Suns multiple times at home, Suns had kind of blown out the Mavs. To see the response and the way the Suns played in Game 7, I don't know. I was thinking about it as you're talking. I'm like, you and me, when we were doing our NBA preview and predictions,
we picked the Bucks. We
had the Suns and Bucks a rematch with the Suns rematch, and I watched the Suns.
Shame on us because it never happens.
Well, see, the problem is we fall into the pattern of picking the teams that
a hot hand. You always go with the hot hand.
Hot at the time when really in the playoffs it's a whole different ball game. Yep. Chris Paul from Game 5 when he turned 37, he aged like overnight. I mean, he became an old man.
Let's just say he didn't age like fine wine.
No, he did not. He looked old. Yep. He looked small. Dallas Mavericks and Coach Jason Kidd did a tremendous job. They changed their philosophy. They picked Chris Paul up 94 feet. They pressured him. And I think this is something that you're going to see teams going forward to do this when they play the Suns. Is you got to pressure Chris Paul all game long and wear him out. In the regular season, you can get away with it. Teams don't play defense. We know that. NBA, that's why no one cares about the regular season because teams don't play defense. They don't hustle. They don't do anything. And Chris Paul was able to kind of maintain his gas tank until the fourth quarter when he really needed to turn on. And by this fourth quarter, the game was out of hand. It didn't even matter. Luka Doncic had as many points in the first half as the entire Suns. I was looking at him, telling my worker Paul, I'm like, look at this. I'm like, Devin Booker's got like 1 point. Chris Paul's got 2. Aiton's got like 3. There was like, and Jay Crowder's got like 5. It's like, what? I mean, 27 points. 27 points in the first quarter. I will say this with regards to that game. Spencer Dinwiddie picked up the slack. I mean, if you looked at the first half, Luka had 27, Dinwiddie had 21, and no one else in the Mavs had more than 5 points after that. So those two guys carried this team. They both had 30 points in Game 7. The last teammates to do that was Shaquille O'Neal and Kobe Bryant. But
the greatest duo of all time, by the way.
So that's
better than Jordan and Pippen. I don't care.
My whole perspective is this. The Suns just got outplayed. And the best player came up biggest in the biggest game, and that Luka Doncic. Luka Doncic is a stud. He's a star.
Did you just say Luka?
Yeah,
I'm so glad you said Luka because
hold on.
No. You keep it going. Keep it going.
No, I didn't finish.
You gotta keep it going.
He is what you want in a number one. All right, he's the best player, and it shows. It's kind of like the LeBron James factor. When you have such a superstar like him, and then you have a bunch of role players that can fill the void, and a great coach in Jason Kidd in his first season, it speaks volume. Suns, they got outplayed. I don't know what happened. They got to do some soul searching. I think the Suns, I was reading about their team, they got to make some real serious decisions in this offseason. They gave Chris Paul the big contract. DeAndre Ayton, what do? Devin Booker still on the rookie max deal. I think they need more shooting from the outside, and I think they really need a good number 2. Now, with the Celtics-Bucks series, I thought this was the best series throughout. But I'll read this. This is where I thought the biggest game in the whole series was about. Bottom line was, the Bucks went 11 of 62 on 3-pointers over the last 2 games, while the Celtics made 55 of 90. I was looking at that side. I go, I was going to say the F word, but that's effing incredible. It's amazing. I mean, to have the difference between 3-point, and we know what the 3-point game does. It's remarkable. In Game 7, it was outrageous. The Bucks made 1 of 23 over the last 3 quarters, while the Celtics set a franchise record making 22. We know what Grant Williams did. I didn't realize what a 3-point shooter. He was up to 41% this season. It really stretches the Celtics out and allows them to play almost like Golden State was a couple of years, where 5 and they can dish and dack and switch. Yeah. But I got to give one save credit. Giannis. He amassed 200 points. First player ever to have 200 points, 100 rebounds, and 50 assists in a single playoff series. He did everything.
I said that earlier. Did you hear me?
You didn't say
first
the stat.
player to do that. 200 points. I'm pretty
sure. He averaged 40 points, 15 rebounds, and 5 assists over the final 4
I know.
games.
I said that. 200 points. 100 rebounds and 50 assists.
But I will say this, though. The Celtics got lucky because if Chris Middleton was playing in this series, the Bucks would have won.
Don't you know that? Don't you know That's the Celtics, the luck of the Irish. Who cares? They got a little luck. Who cares? It's over. Like that's the thing.
I'm
It
just saying,
happened.
if Middleton was
I
playing,
get that. I'm
the
not.
Bucks
Look,
were 1-6, and we'd be talking about a Bucks Miami Heat series.
how do
But
we,
we're not. We're talking
look?
about the Celtics. Jason Tatum came up big in Game 6 with 46 points, and then for him and Grant Williams to play as well as they game in Game 7, you got to give the two rookie coaches, Jason Kidd. I'm not even gonna try to pronounce
and
it.
then man, Udoka.
Yeah, that's why I got you on the studio.
That's why you got this line right over here. No, I'm kidding. My thing is
and I look at now the two series going forward. You got literally, I think, mirrors of a teams.
All right.
In the East.
Let me.
Hold on. This is Celtics and Miami, and then I think in the West, you're looking at a team like Golden State.
Let's get into it. You're still talking about yesterday. I want to get into today. I'm getting
into it.
Let's move on. No. Ted, you've been talking for 35 years, bro. You've been talking for 35.
Do you look at this series as like Golden State, like that Detroit Piston team where
here's what I was gonna say.
Hold on, there had been there where like Luka could be the LeBron James in that Cavs team that had to play that veteran
team. No, this is what I was gonna say. And about both of these.
This is what I was gonna say.
This is what I was going to say is that this series, this team specifically, I know they have pieces. I know Brunson's been a nice little addition and a nice spark for them. I know Dinwiddie's been a hell of an addition for them too. But Luka has just been kind of on like an AI tier where AI went through that Eastern Conference in 2001, and all of a sudden they got to the finals. We know what the rest of the results were, but it just feels like Luka's on this rampage to really prove to the people. I know Giannis right now, we all say is the triumphant odds-on best player in the NBA right now, in the current NBA. But if Luka wins, he's got a strong argument. And look at what he's been able to do for a team that, let's be honest, we didn't give a lot of expectations for this Dallas Mavericks team. Maybe some had going out in the first round to the Utah Jazz, but no, they found a way to win. Okay. And then we think the Suns, don't worry, the Suns will take care of them on 5 or 6. Well, they're in the Western Conference Finals now. They're 4 games away from playing in an NBA Finals. Ted, can Luka continue to steamroll through the West? Or with the way this Warriors team is, it's you look at the similarities in the Boston-Miami series, we'll talk about that. And then you look at the contrasting styles, the run-up tempo type offense, passing a lot with the Golden State Warriors, and then Dallas likes to slow it down, give the ball to Luka, and everything's revolves around him. So can Luka continue to steamroll through the West, or are the Warriors just too much?
My initial reaction is the Warriors will probably win in 7. They'll have the home court advantage. But then I look at this and I'm like, all right, look at Luka Doncic as an NBA player, I should say superstar, in the playoffs the past couple seasons. In 2020, he averaged 31 points a game on 50% shooting in that first round against the Clippers, which now the Clippers end up winning. Thank God they had Kawhi Leonard. But you could see this coming. You could see that this kid was building. Then last season, 35 points in the first round. Then this year against the Jazz, 29 points on 46. Against the Suns, 32 points. What I'm saying is this kid is getting better every series.
That's scary because he's only 23.
If they're going to steamroll, and it's not going to be steamroll because I believe the series is going 6.
I'm talking Luka specifically because he's been literally what he's been doing. Look at what he's done.
Well, here's what the question is: what the Warriors are going to do? Do you let Luka get his and shut down everyone else, or do you try to shut down Luka and say, you know what, Spencer Dinwiddie, you think you can score 30 points a game? Go ahead, Jalen Brunson. You think you could beat me? Because that's what it comes down to. We talked about it last week. Could the bench and the role players of the Dallas Mavericks come up big and pick up the slack for Luka? Because you know Luka's going to get it. It's like Giannis. You know those two guys who are superstars. They're going to get theirs. They're going to get their 25, 30, 40 points a game. But it's what can the bench and the role players do for them?
Yeah.
Because here's the thing with the Warriors, they're superstars, but there's so many. I mean, you got Jordan Poole, you got Klay Thompson, you got Draymond, you got Curry. There's so many guys that you got. I forget to say them all the time. Wiggins was a starter on the All-Star team. So what I think the Warriors are going to do is they're going to put Wiggins onto Luka. They're going to use his size. They're going to use him. They're going to use Klay. Maybe they'll switch off and use Draymond. But they're going to try to wear Luka down and hope that their bench, because they have a little bit more depth at Dallas, will wear down Luka and eventually they'll win the series especially having the home court. Luka and this Dallas team, though, impressed me thoroughly. For the first round, I'm like, maybe the Jazz with Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert, they play good defense. They'll probably win. They didn't win. Then I'm like, the Suns are going to win it easily in 6. They won the first 2. They'll probably split, go home, win game 6. They lose last 2, lose in game 7. So for me to count out the Dallas Mavericks would be idiotic. And listen, Luka's getting better. We're watching a
I don't think it's just Luka, Ted. I think it's the team overall. I mean, to think about that, to have Dinwiddie come in last night and have 30 points, and we just said it. It hasn't been done since Kobe Shaq. That's a long freaking time. If we remember when Kobe and Shaq played, that's 20 years ago. That doesn't happen a lot. What occurred last night in Phoenix? 2 guys going 30 plus. To see Jalen Brunson and Dinwiddie really stepping up, and even Kleber stepping up for this team. I know everybody's been talking about Luka's doing amazing. Luka's the GOAT. Luka's the guy. He's everything that is advertised. But I think with Brunson stepping up and Dinwiddie, 2 guards that are explosive, can get to the rim, can create their own shot, can get 20. You've seen it. They can get 20 plus points for this team. If they can continue to play this the way they've been playing, and the belief that they have and the confidence that they have in them, like their head coach, a Hall of Famer, Jason Kidd, who's been, this team has drastically changed since the Porzingis trade. If they continue to play like that, man, don't be surprised if the Dallas Mavericks are playing in the NBA Finals this year. I know it's crazy, but we've seen crazier things. Do we expect the Dallas Mavericks to be playing on Wednesday night? Do we expect them to beat the Suns by 30 plus points, Ted? No.
You told me that the Mavs have beaten Golden State 3 out of 4 times this season, but we know the regular season is different than the postseason. Of course. The thing about this Dallas team is the last couple of years, they've been building on this. And this is kind of remarkable about the growth that Luka Doncic and this Dallas Mavericks team has had. If you think about it, they started out really slow, poorly. Porzingis was on the roster. They had to make some change. If you remember, the owner, Cuban, had called out Luka Doncic, said he came in fat, out of shape. Didn't really look like Luka. And now
that fat, out of shape person is in the conference finals.
He's rolling.
You know what I meant.
But I think Golden State. If we want to make a prediction, I think Golden State.
No. After that, we'll wait. I want to do. Don't. Can you just wait? Please?
I'm not making a prediction, but what I'm going to say is the thing that the Warriors are going to have an advantage is that they got multiple players that they can throw at Luka and they can wear him down. You got Green, you got Otto Porter, you got Kevin Looney. They can go a little bit small with more athleticism and Thompson, Andrew Wiggins. So there is more pieces that Golden State can throw at Luka and wear him down, similar to what they did with Chris Paul. Now, this is also a very contrasting styles of play. I remember hearing before the playoffs, Dallas plays at one of the slower paces in all of the NBA. If you're a betting man, bet the under, because what was it?
Yeah, but that's why you get the contrasting styles
for Dallas this year. Were unders. Now you got a team like Golden State. What do they like to do, Trev? This is football. This is Oregon football.
This is
Run
Oregon.
And gun.
Yeah.
Let's get plays every 12 seconds. Let's put up shots. Let's put up threes. Let's rebound. Let's play with momentum. Let's get the crowd going. Splash Brothers. Hey, it's going to be a great series. You got 2 superstars in Steph Curry and Luka Doncic. And it's funny to say that, kind of the old guy and kind of the new guy. We saw one young guy take the torch away from the old guy and Chris Paul. Can it be round 2 and do it again with Luka taking it away from Steph Curry?
Hold that question, because we do have a question to close out the show. Which superstar needs to win the most? And I'm curious to see who we're going to pick, who's going to be playing in the NBA Finals this year. But let's get over to the Eastern Conference. We just talked about the Western Conference and the contrasting styles of the up-tempo Warriors against the slow and boring Dallas Mavericks. But boy, are they entertaining, because, well, they're still at this point. And then you go over to the East Coast, and boy, oh boy, can you have a matchup more identical. 2 nitty-gritty franchises, 2 tough mindset, leadership. But you got stars on this team. You get Boston, you get Miami, a rematch from a couple years ago. If we all remember the bubble, this was the Eastern Conference Finals. In the bubble, Jimmy Butler and Bam took it to this Boston Celtics team. But you look at both these teams right now and the way that they're playing, it's just so similar. Their defenses, they're so stingy and nitty-gritty. They just make offenses. You look at the Bucks, you looked at the Hawks early on, and then you looked at oh my goodness, who did the Heat just play? I'm having a brain fart. Help me.
Sixers,
The Sixers.
your favorite team, the Sixers.
Yeah, my favorite team. You just look at how those two matchups were, the Sixers and the Bucks, those offenses against these two defenses. They just looked confused at times. They looked terrified at times. And that's just credit to both coaches, Amen Udoka and Eric Spoelstra. That's just great coaching. And then you got stars all over. But why did I ask, will Boston finally get over the hump? Well, Boston just can't figure out a way to beat the Miami Heat in conference finals. This is actually their fourth conference finals in the past 6 years. Will the Boston Celtics, Ted, finally get over the hump? This core, if we think about these two cores, when the Miami Heat and they played in 2020, had with some additions, of course, most of these players are still from these teams. You get Tyler Herro, Bam, Jimmy, and then you get Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart, the same type of core. But can this core of the Miami Heat, well, can they do it again? Or specifically, can the Boston Celtics, Ted, finally get over the hump and get to a championship that we all expected this team to possibly already be here?
Yeah, no, I mean, absolutely. I mean, why not? I mean, they dominated the Nets, swept them, took care of business, took Kyrie and pushed them to the side.
Yep.
Then listen, I know there was, and I said it before in the previous segment. I said, hey, listen, I think the Bucks would have won if Chris Middleton, but he wasn't there, like you said. So you got to play who's in front of you, and they took care of the Bucks. They won the game on road when they needed to, and then they came back home and dominated. Yep. This game is going to be similar to, I look at it as the Bucks series. Can the Celtics make their threes again? Because if the Celtics are going to rain, if it's going to rain.
You see how many threes they shot yesterday?
Trev, they made 50 more threes than the Bucks in the series.
They attempted 55 threes. That's crazy.
And here's the other. I think the series, I think you perfectly said it. Mirror images of each other.
Oh yeah.
Right. You got hard-nosed, defensive-minded teams. Mm-hmm. You got wing players like Jimmy Butler and Tatum and Brown and Marcus Smart that are both great offensively and defensively. They play both sides of the court. There's no slouch from either. You have great role players, 6 man of the year, Tyler Herro. You got guys like Grant Williams. And if Robert Williams comes back from the knee soreness that he was dealing with in this series, that's going to be a huge pivotal role. I think
that's a huge key.
And then I think go ahead.
Does Lowry or Robert Williams injury hurt? Which team does it hurt more?
Well, listen, I think it doesn't really. I think they even switch. I think Robert Williams gives them depth. He can go against with Bam underneath and give them size underneath. And then for Lowry, it's just about him being the orchestrator, the leader, the maestro of their offense. But I got to give Jimmy Butler credit, man. I didn't know if he really had it in him. He has really stepped up and really taken over. Everyone always wanted him to be the superstar and was like, he's never that guy. He's more of a 2 than he was.
Got to go to the right culture, baby.
And I still think he's a number 2. He's not a number 1. There's not many guys that are he's not a number 1. He's not a number 1 because I don't want the ball. He's different. He's not a Luka. He's not a Giannis. He's not a LeBron. All right. He's not a number 1. He's close. He might be a 1A.
I don't agree with that one.
Here's my thing. If you had Tatum or Jimmy Butler, who do you want the ball in the hand? Tatum or Jimmy?
Either one. I mean, I've seen both
of
them.
I'm asking you, if you want the ball on I think I want the ball in Tatum's hand more than I want Jimmy.
I probably want Tatum, but you can't go wrong with either one. I mean, Jimmy, to me,
Tatum's ability to stretch the floor, be able to hit the three. Jimmy's improved drastically in the playoffs so far in his 3-point shooting. He's averaged up over 28 points a game. Yeah. The series is going to be great. You got 2 great coaches, Eric Spoelstra. Listen, phenomenal coach. We always thought that he was just riding LeBron James's coattail all those years, but it really has shown that he really is a great coach. I think the Celtics can win this series in 6 or 7 if they're hitting the 3. Here's the biggest thing: when the Celtics are hitting their 3, they're almost unbeatable. They really are. When they're stroking it like they did yesterday, I know yesterday they made NBA record 22 in a game.
They were 22 of 55, 40% from 3-point compared to the Milwaukee Bucks, who were 4 of 33.
But what was I just reading? So the Heat right now rank 13th in playoff percentage at 32% on defense on the 3-point line, where the Celtics shoot almost 44%. The Celtics are such a streaky team from the outside that if they're rolling, they're almost unbeatable because their defense is top notch. It's actually better than the Heat's. But here's one other stat I want to say, and then I'll let you finish up. Numbers to know. All right, Celtics. They're 4-1 on the road, but the Heat are 6-0 at home. Something's got to give with these two teams. And you told me before, what it, Celtics had beaten the Heat, what, 3 out of 4 too?
2 out of 3 this year.
2 out of 3. And
Yeah.
and I think in the Celtics' mind, they got to be looking back 2 years ago and, man, we had an opportunity against the bubble. We weren't ready yet then. We're ready now. Will they?
And that's why I think that, Ted, I think you said it perfectly. You got to think about this Celtics team and this little core that we've been talking about of Tatum, Brown, and Smart, specifically those 3. They've been in Game 7s before. For goodness sake, Tatum was in Game 7 his rookie year in the Eastern Conference Finals against a guy named LeBron James, went toe-to-toe with him. And then this year, went against a team like the Brooklyn Nets, who we to many was the triumphant favorite to win the title. They swept them. They took care of business. That's a big moment. Then you play the defending champs, the best player in the world, the reigning MVP, future Hall of Famer, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and you beat them in 7. You beat them in the moments that counted. Now, you have the experience. Both of these teams have the experience now. It's just, to me, realistically, kind of role players. What are the role players going to do? Is Grant Williams going to step up like Game 7 again? Is Max Strus going to actually play for the Boston Celtics too and got cut? So is Max Strus going to step up? Are these guys the role players?
Duncan Robinson can have a role.
Robinson hasn't even freaking played. I mean, he's getting $90 million to sit on the bench. I mean, not bad at all. Good job, nice life to have. But we always talk about star players, and we always say that these guys have to be great. Yes, that's true, but you need to have these benches. And I think both of these teams, the Boston Celtics, have the best bench in basketball. The Miami Heat own the top 5, top 10 benches in all of the league right now, too. So these two teams, from top to bottom, head coaches, franchises, organizational standpoint, these two teams have been the pinnacle of the Eastern Conference. Now, I know that each year they don't get in. Sometimes you get different teams. But realistically, Miami Heat, the Boston Celtics, these teams have been at the top of the Eastern Conference for some time now. The Miami Heat did it a couple of years ago. They got to the finals. Will the Boston Celtics be able to get over the hump and finally beat the Miami Heat and finally get to a NBA Finals in which we all thought probably should be their second or third? So you see the series, Ted.
Because both teams are super motivated. You got guys like Jimmy Butler. Oh, listen, he wants to put a title, a ring on that finger. You know what I mean? Listen, everyone does. You want to get to that next one. You want to, like we talk about in Super Bowls, you want to be at least in that category. You don't want to be, and we've talked about this before, something we talked about earlier in the playoffs is guys like Chris Paul. Like, who needs to win? You know, you gave a stat before. Chris Paul, how many times has he been up in a series and failed to close out the series? So now you got a guy like
most all time, by the way.
Now you got a guy like Tatum. He's been in 3 conference finals already in his short career. You want to go 0-4? I mean, you don't want to be? I mean,
no,
you don't want to get to the point.
You get a reputation around by your peers and around the league that, hey, you're a great player. You just can't get the job done when it really matters. But I don't see that happening, man. Tatum has been able to deliver this entire postseason. This Celtics team has delivered. But we're going to finish off with this, and then we'll make our predictions of who's going to be in the NBA Finals. Ted, there's 4 superstars on each of these teams. Yeah, you got solid number 2s. You got Jaylen Brown in Boston. You got Clay, or maybe Jordan Poole. I don't know who's the number 2 in Golden State. Do we say it's Clay? Do we say it's Jordan Poole? Luka, he doesn't really have a number 2. You could say Dinwiddie or Brunson. And then Jimmy, you could say Bam, you could say Hero. So all these teams have a superstar, and then you got the role players, or you got those stars on the team. But to you, Ted, you look at the 4 superstars, and the 4 superstars that we're talking about is Steph Curry, Luka Doncic, Jason Tatum, and Jimmy Butler. To you, which superstar needs to win the most out of these 4?
See, I don't think it's anyone on Golden State because they already got multiple titles. All they'd be doing is padding their stats. Luka's so young that I don't know if he really is the guy yet. Now it comes down to the Eastern Conference. Is it Tatum? Is it?
Wait, did you just took out the Western Conference guys? You just forget about it?
Like,
really?
Yeah. Because Golden State's team is a veteran team.
Well, not Golden State. I get Golden State, but Dallas?
The Curry crew. And Luka, listen, if he wins and gets a championship, I still don't think they're going to beat either of the Eastern teams. I don't care who it is, Miami or Boston. I would take easily over the Mavs. And when I say easily, I say in 6. I just think those two teams are much more versatile. They add more depth. They play better defense. It's a different game in the East, and they will be able to take out the Mavs. So I don't see with the East. Here's the thing: the Celtics are going on a streak of 0-4 in the conference finals, 2 against Miami, and then whoever. It doesn't even matter. They have not won.
They lost to LeBron.
Oh, that's yeah. Well,
Come on,
everyone
you're a
loses
LeBron guy.
You know what's funny? I'm not a LeBron guy. I like LeBron.
You're more of a LeBron guy than I am.
Well, I have respect for a guy that's
what I respect LeBron too. I know what he's done. I know how great he is. I respect certain players. It doesn't mean I don't have to like them. I respect what they've done for the game. Doesn't mean I have to like them. Yeah, come on.
Whatever. So I don't know if there's a decipher. I don't think it's not that a superstar needs it. All right. Because for me, it's about
three of them have one of them has multiple rings, and 3 of them don't have nothing.
Well, here's the thing. Don't tell me if Tatum loses again, right? He's going to be 0-3 in the conference finals. The Celtics have had 5 straight conference losses. I mean, it's going to be more about the team. You know, if he still puts out you can't knock Giannis from the previous series when all he did was average 20.
You'd be a fool. You'd be a fool if you did.
So if Tatum balls out, but the Miami team just plays better, and then you got to give credit where credit is due. But the way I would decipher this is I'll only use this as a kind of a separating thing is Jimmy Butler. If you're calling him the superstar, is 32, going to be 33 years old, and Jason Tatum's 24. So there's an 8-year difference. You would say that Tatum and Brown and the Celtics team have years still to come. But you know how hard it is to keep getting there, and you got to finally win one. So I'll say Jimmy Butler because of his age. They were there 2 years ago. They got beat by LeBron and the Lakers a couple years ago. So I'll say Jimmy Butler because for you personally, you want to put Jimmy Butler in that category of superstars. This is where
and possibly just to add to your resume, this is a guy that has all the tools of a superstar, and to me he is a superstar. Jimmy Butler is one of the top 10 players in the game. He's one of the best all-around players in the game, so I'm not taking that away.
Jimmy Butler's
top
10?
Yes.
Oh, see, now we're talking because now you would take Harden out, but Harden you would have said
dude, I would have taken James Harden out a year ago. I'm sorry. I'll take Jimmy Butler over James Harden every day and twice on Sunday. You know the dealio. That's just how it is with me. To me, to answer this question, it's the 2 young guys, bro. Specifically Luka, because I know Luka has been amazing.
Yeah, but why would you say he needs it the most right now?
Listen. Because what if he never, ever gets an opportunity again? What if Dallas can never find that number 2 for him, that legit number 2? Like Jalen Brunson's a solid pro. Don't get me wrong. He's been tremendous for them. Spencer Dinwiddie is a reliable guard in this league. But we're talking number 2s. If Luka, this is his opportunity. Think of it like AI, like I said back early on in the show. What if he never gets back to another title or a conference finals or just that close? Like he's right there.
Well, what about the Celtics? You're gonna
that's why I would also say if I had to rank them, I go 1 would be Luka for me because we don't know if Dallas is ever going to be there. 2 would be Tatum because yes, the Celtics should keep that band back together. They should keep the core always and build with that because they have something special. But you don't know how the Eastern Conference is going to look. We all think that it's going to be Giannis's Eastern Conference for some time now. Once he gets a healthier team.
Well, I would say the Heat are not going anywhere.
The Heat are not going to be going. Yes,
not going anywhere.
That's what I'm trying. That's what I'm trying to say.
We don't know what the Nets are going. We don't know what the Nets are going to be.
Curry don't need to do anything anymore. Curry's a Hall of Famer. He's the greatest shooter of all time. He can just add to the impressive resume. That's it. Jimmy. Yes, Jimmy definitely can use a ring. I mean, he's already been established as a superstar since coming into Miami. He's really taken his game to another level.
Think if Tatum wins this for the Celtics, now, and we know this because of what the Celtics organization represents, now you put a ring in your thing. That's not you're going to be compared to Larry Bird yet, but now you start getting in that category of the Bird and the McHales and the Dennis Johnson. Yes. And here's the other thing. You don't want to be Paul Pierce, where you had to eventually wait for your big 3. This is your big 3.
Oh, this is his big 3. Yeah, this is his big 3. So it's time for him.
Phenomenal player all those years. When Antoine Walker, they couldn't get over the hump. and they couldn't get to the finals and couldn't win. Then they finally got Ray Allen and Kevin Garnett, and they won the final. So Tatum, now because Paul Pierce, the truth. Well, Tatum, now you got to be the truth, and now you start putting yourself in that echelon of Celtics.
Yeah,
kind of
great. Yeah, you win a championship this year.
Listen. It's like the Lakers thing when we talk about LeBron. As much as LeBron, when you start winning titles for these certain franchises,
yeah, of course.
I mean,
and the way that Tatum's been playing this entire postseason, if he can get a ring out of this postseason, it really etches his name into Boston Celtic history. But yeah, to me, it's the two young guys. I know it's crazy because, Luka's only 23 and Tatum's only 24, but you got to look at the conferences in the standpoint. You don't know what the conferences are going to be like. You don't know if Dallas is ever going to get another opportunity like this again. This could be just one of these Sixers runs, these LeBron early on career Cleveland days where he got to the finals and played against the San Antonio Spurs. I'm not saying we know LeBron ended up winning. We get the point. But my thing is that we don't know if it's going to be like an AI or something like that, where he gets one time and we never see him again in an NBA Finals. And that would be a damn shame. Same thing with Tatum because of the standpoint that Giannis is not going anywhere. He's going to be in the Eastern Conference for the next 10 to 12 years as a Milwaukee Buck. So he's the throne currently. Tatum took him down. Tatum took down the Nets. The Celtics took down the Nets and the Bucks. Can they do it to the Heat? And if so, and they win, well, that just etches his name into Boston Celtic history and guarantees him a top 5 player currently in the NFL, NBA, and maybe the best 25 and under player. Ted, so let's close out with this. We're going to post this. We're going to post these predictions after. It's a simple question. Who's going to the NBA Finals?
Celtics, Golden State. The matchup that we thought we might have gone and see like 2-3 seasons ago, I think before COVID. Remember, even when the Celtics, I remember a couple of years ago when Golden State was on that like that path where they were just kicking everyone. Celtics were the team that matched up and gave them the most fits because of their physicality and their ability to switch on and off. Listen, I have no issue with with any team making the finals of these four teams. Yeah. But if I had to pick a matchup, I would like to see the Celtics versus Golden State. I believe both series will end in 6.
I'm going to go.
I agree with Mr. John Holt that the Celtics win in 6 and that Golden State wins in 6. But we've been wrong all postseason.
Yeah. Well, not all. That's why I'm going to go. I'm going to go with Luka versus Jason Tatum in the NBA Finals. Yeah. I know it's crazy. Are you kidding? Did you just say yuck? Like, really? Luka and Tatum? The two faces that are going to be running the places in the NBA?
You should have just went Luka versus Miami Heat.
No.
LeBron James and the power team versus Dirk Nowitzki.
I'm not going against my boy Tatum. I'm going with Tatum. He's been special this postseason, and he's going to win one because he's got that Mamba mentality. By the way, sorry to my roommate Frank, big Miami Heat fan. Sorry, Frank. Sorry. It's going to be a toss-up, but I can't wait because I'm going to game 2 on Thursday, so it's going to be a hell of a time. I can't wait to see what it's going to be like. First NBA game. It's going to be a hell of a good time. Come on, man. Bucket list. We went to the ALCS. I'm going to the Eastern Conference Finals. What's next? The conference championships in the NFL. Maybe the Giants one day will ever get there in this decade, century. But no, I can't wait. Rangers are in continue their season 2. The playoffs are hot. The Final Four is official.
The Yankees are the best team in baseball,
and the New York Yankees are the best team in baseball by far. We will be talking about that on Friday with the Joseph Aguirre joining us, talking New York Yankee baseball. I will recap just my experience of the Eastern Conference Finals game 2, and we'll talk about these, and we'll talk about the conference finals. We'll see what's going on. It's a hell of a time to be a sports fan, ladies and gentlemen. New changes coming to Keys to the City. I promise you, by either the end of this week or next week, a brand new look of Keys to the City will be official. Ted's very sad. He's very sad. Oh, what a time. What a time to be alive. Ladies and gentlemen, we are Keys to the City, streaming on all social media platforms. So check us out at Keys to the City. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back at the end of the week. We are out.
To the city, baby. When you see us, so you know you really viewing greatness in the making. Double up on facts we stating. Podcasting, cruise control, city, state, the nation. So what you saying, what we saying, prime information. Facts, keys to the city, we unlocking the statements.
Streaming every Friday.